In this video, I'll be walking you through a mini Python project where we'll create a password generator. This will be a relatively simple project, beginner friendly, and a quick way to practice some Python skills and potentially learn some new stuff in the Python language. With that said, if you're looking to learn more about Python and become a software engineer, check out my course Programming Expert. I'll leave a link in the description. And if you're interested in Web3 and blockchain development, then check out my other course, Blockchain Expert, which again will be linked in the description. With that said, let's dive into it and create a password generator. Alright, so let's dive into the project. Just as a quick brief here, what we're going to do is create a password manager that allows us to generate passwords with a minimum length. So maybe you pass a minimum length of 7. That means any password you get will have, well, a minimum length of 7. Continuing, we're also going to allow the user to set if they want the password to contain special characters and if they want it to contain numbers. This way it's slightly dynamic and we can create some different types of passwords. So with that said, let's get into the project. So I'm here in Visual Studio Code. I assume that you have a Python environment set up. You can do this in really any version of Python. And we're going to start at the top of our program here by importing two modules that we're going to use. So we're going to import random and we're going to import string. Now we're going to use string to just grab all of the lowercase and uppercase letters that exist, and then all of the special characters, as well as all of the numbers or digits. Kind of a cool thing that you may not have seen before. Now, there's two different things that we need to do here. The first thing we need to do is ask the user what the minimum length is, if they want numbers, if they want special characters, etc. And then we need to write a function which is actually going to generate the password. We can do this in any order that we want. For now, I'm going to start by writing the function. So I'm going to say def, and then I'm going to say generate underscore password. And for the parameters of this function, I'm going to pass the following, which is the minimum length. Then I'm going to pass numbers is equal to true, and then special underscore characters is equal to true. And for now, I'm just going to write pass here while I explain this. So these are the parameters, the things that you need to pass to the function when you call it. Again, we start with the minimum length, which will be a number. And then we have two optional parameters here where we can specify if we want the password to include numbers or if we want it to include special characters. The way you would call this function is like so. So I would say generate password. And if I passed just 10, then that would create a password for me that has minimum length of 10 and includes numbers and special characters. If we passed, say, like 10 and then false, that would mean we'd have a password of minimum length 10, would not include numbers, but would include special characters. So you can see that if I only pass one of the different arguments, then I'm kind of substituting that here for this parameter. Obviously, I could pass both of them as well if I wanted to do that. So I could say false and false, but by default, if you don't pass them, we're going to have that equal to true. Okay. All right, so now that we're here, I just want to grab all of the potential characters, so like numbers, special characters, letters, etc., that we could be using. So I'm going to say letters is equal to string.ascii underscore characters. Is it ASCII characters or ASCII letters? I think it's ASCII letters. Then I'm going to say digits is equal to string dot, and then I think it's digits. Yes, that's correct. And then I'm going to say special underscore chars is equal to, and then this is going to be, actually, let's make this special is equal to string dot punctuation. I think I spelled that correctly. Okay, now I'm just going to quickly print these out just so you can see what they look like. And then we will continue. So I'm going to say generate password, and we'll just pass 10 for now just so that we can see what these are. Okay, so when I call the function, you can see that what we get printed here is all of the lowercase and uppercase English letters. Then we get all of the digits, and then we get all of these special characters, which are really just all of the punctuation on our keyboard. Perfect. So I just want all of those so that I can kind of create the set of characters that I'm going to select from when I generate this password. So now we need to combine all of these into one kind of list or one large string that we're going to randomly choose from. However, that string that we're going to randomly choose from should only contain what we have specified here. So for example, if we're including numbers and we're including special characters, then we want to be picking from all three of these variables. So either a letter, number, or special character every single time we kind of generate a new character for the password. If we're not using numbers, then obviously it's just letters and special. And then if we are using numbers but not special characters, then it's just letters and our special characters. So how do we do this? Well, we're going to say the following. We're going to say Should I do the selections? No, let's call this characters is equal to letters because we're always going to have letters no matter what. Then I'm going to say if numbers like this, then characters plus equals, and then digits. So if this variable is true for including numbers, I'm going to take all of my digits, which by the way are inside of a string, and I'm going to add those to the letter string. So that now they're combined. And then I'm going to say if special characters like this, then characters plus equal special like that. So now if we have our special characters, we add that to our characters, which will allow us to select from those when we are generating the password. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is start a loop. And during every iteration of that loop, we're going to generate a new character to add to our random password. And we're going to continue that loop until we meet the criteria. So until we have, for example, a number, a special character, and we are at the minimum length. So we need to set up a few variables here. The first variable I'm going to create is PWD, which stands for password, and this is what will store the password. The next variable is going to be called meet criteria, and actually this will be meet criteria, and I'm going to make this equal to false. Now, we're going to set this variable to true once the password meets the criteria, and meeting the criteria will mean that it includes a number and a special character, or it just includes a number, or it just includes a special character, etc. And that's going to be based on what the input is to this function. So we want to make sure that we have at least one special character and at least one number if you made these equal to true. Next, we're going to have a variable that tells us if we do have a number in our password. So we're going to say has number. For right now, that's going to be equal to false. And then we're going to have has special, and that's going to be equal to false as well. Okay, so now that we have these variables, we're going to create a while loop, and we're going to say while not meets underscore criteria, like that, and, actually not and, or PWD, the len of PWD is less than the min length. Okay. So this is the condition for our for loop, or for our while loop, sorry. So we're saying while we are not meeting the criteria, so while we don't have a special character or don't have a number or whatever that criteria is, or the length of our password is not yet equal to or greater than the minimum length, we're going to continue doing this where we're going to continue adding characters to our password. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Now, I'm going to generate a random character that I want to add to my password, add it, and then if it's a number, I'm going to set has number equal to true. If it's a special character, I'm going to set has special equal to true. And then at the bottom of the while loop, I'm going to adjust this meets criteria variable to tell me if the password currently meets the criteria based on these two parameters. So we're going to say new underscore char is equal to random.choice, and then this is going to be from the characters kind of string here. So we've built this characters string, which has all of our available characters we can pick from. So we're going to randomly pick one using random.choice, just picks a random element out of the string for us. That's why we imported random, and we're going to add that to our password. So PWD plus equals, and then the new underscore char. We're now going to say if the new character is in our digits, so is in digits like that, then has underscore number is equal to true. And we're going to say elif the new char is in our special characters, then has special is equal to true. So again, this is telling us if this character exists inside of the digits, which we have up here, and it's telling us if it exists inside of our special characters, which we have right here. If it does, then we're going to adjust these variables so we know now if we have a special character and if we have a number. There's a few other ways to go about doing this, but the way I'm coding this is one of the more efficient ways rather than rechecking the entire password every single time to see if it has a special character or see if it has a number. Okay, so next, what we need to do now is update this meets criteria variable. So it's a little bit strange how I'm going to do this, but I want to show you kind of a more complicated way just as a bit of a learning experience here. So I'm going to say meets criteria is equal to true. Now you're going to see this as a common pattern when you're programming, that you actually start a variable equal to true, and then you try to prove that the variable is false, and then if that's the case, you set it to false. So I'm going to say meets criteria is equal to true, then I'm going to check a few things and set it to false if it needs to be false. Okay, that's how it's going to work. And if I didn't set it to false, that means, well, I've met the criteria. So I'm going to say if numbers like this, and remember, numbers is telling me that I should include numbers in the password. So I'm going to say if numbers then meets criteria is equal to, and in this case, we can just say numbers, or not numbers, sorry, has underscore number. Then we're going to say if special, and did I just call it special? No. Special characters, then meets criteria is equal to meets criteria, and in this case, special has underscore special. Okay. Now, the way this works is that I'm starting by saying if we should include a number, then we're going to set the meets criteria variable equal to if we have a number or not. So if we do have a number, this is going to be equal to true. If we don't, it's going to be equal to false. Then after that, no matter what, so whether this is true or false, I'm going to do this other if statement where I say if we have special characters, or if we should include special characters, then meets criteria is going to be equal to meets criteria and has special. Now, the reason I'm using this and here is because if has number was equal to false, or if at this point meets criteria is equal to false, then it doesn't meet the criteria, right? If we don't have a number, but we're supposed to include a number, we don't meet the criteria. So it doesn't matter what has special is, this should return false. So that's why I'm putting meets criteria here. Then I'm checking that with has special. So if we did have a number, for example, if this if statement was true, then this is equal to true. And if we have a special character, then that's equal to true. So meets criteria is equal to true. If we didn't have a number, but we do have a special character, then this is equal to false. Hopefully you can kind of understand where I'm going here and how this works. There's a bunch of other ways I could probably have written this a little more clear, but I just wanted to show you an approach of kind of doing it in this format and using a, what would you call it, a chained conditional or a compound conditional here with the and keyword. If you're not familiar with the and keyword, this expression returns true only if both the left-hand side and the right-hand side are true. So try, if you don't understand, to pause the video and kind of figure out what I'm doing here and how that works. But this will now kind of finish our generate password function. So from here, I'm now going to return my password. And at this point, it's guaranteed that my password is going to have at least one number and at least one special character and be the minimum length, assuming that this was true and this was true. All right, so let me zoom out here. We'll run through the code quickly, and then we can do our inputs. So the user is going to tell us the minimum length, if it should have a special character, etc. And we'll kind of test the program out. So we get our letters, digits, and special characters, fairly straightforward. We then create a string that contains all of the different characters we could be selecting from. So we've already explained how that works. Then we say our password is empty. We currently do not meet the criteria. We do not have a number, and we do not have a special character. Now we say while not meets criteria, or the length of our password is less than the minimum length. So if either of these two are true, then we're going to continue. Then we generate a new character by randomly selecting from the characters we can pick from. We add that to our password, and then we determine if that new character was a number. If it was, we're going to say has number is equal to true. And if it was a special character, we're going to say has special is equal to true. Then we're going to set meets criteria equal to true. And if we have a number, or if we should include a number, sorry, I keep mixing this up, but if we should include a number, but we don't have a number, we're going to set meets criteria equal to false. If we should include a number and we do have a number, then meets criteria will stay true. Okay, then we go here and we say if special characters, then meets criteria is equal to meets criteria and has special, which is what I just explained, which will make sure that this is going to be equal to false if we don't have one of the two things that we need. Then when these conditions are false, so when we are meeting the criteria and when the length of the password is at least the minimum length, then we will return the password. Okay, so let's just try calling generate password using some manual inputs, and then we can grab our user inputs. So I'm going to say pwd is equal to generate password, and then I'm going to print pwd here. And for now, we're just going to generate it with 10 minimum characters and containing numbers and special characters. Okay, notice that this is the password that we got. We can run it again. We'll get another password, and we can keep running this as many times as we'd like. So now the last step is to ask the user to give us the information that we pass to this function. So we're going to say the min underscore length is equal to input. Let me zoom in a little bit here so we can read this better. And I'm going to say enter the minimum length. Okay. Then we're going to convert this to an integer because we need this as a number value. We're just going to assume they give us a valid integer. If they don't, it's going to crash the program, but we don't need to handle that right now. We're just going to assume they give us valid input. Then we are going to say has number is equal to, and then input, do you want to have a number, or do you want to have numbers? Question mark, and then we'll say that we're going to accept either Y or no. All right. And then we're going to have has special. We're going to say, do you want to have special characters? Now for both of these inputs, I'm going to convert them to lower cases. So dot lower is just going to take whatever the user types in and convert it into lowercase. So we're going to do that here. And then I'm going to check if this is equivalent to Y. So if the lowercase thing that they typed in is equal to the lowercase letter Y, then that means yes, we should have a number. And then same thing here, check if this is equal to lowercase y. So if they type anything other than y, either uppercase or lowercase, then we are not going to include the number or not going to include the special character. Okay, so this is going to return a Boolean for us, giving us either true or false. Next, I'm going to go down here to PWD, and I'm going to pass all my parameters. So I'm going to say min length has number and has special, and then I can print the generated password is, and then whatever the password is. All right, so quickly run through this. We ask them first, what is the minimum length they want? We convert that into an integer because we need a number value, and by default, whatever's entered in the input statement is going to be a string, so we got to convert that to an int. Then we ask them if they want to include a number. We cast that or convert that to lowercase, and then we check if it's equal to y. The double equal sign in Python checks for equivalence, so we're checking if they're exactly the same. If it is, then this is true, and we will include a number. Then we do the same thing for special characters. We take all of our 3 values here that we've asked the user for, pass that to our function, and then print out what the generated password is. So let's run this. Okay, enter the minimum length. Let's go with 25. Do we want to include numbers? Yes. Do we want to include special characters? Let's go with no. And there you go. We get our password. We can run this again. Minimum length, let's go with 20. Numbers, no. Special characters, yes. And we actually got a small error here. It says local variable meets criteria referenced before assignment. Let me have a look at why we're getting this. We'll fix that error and then we'll be done. All right, so the issue is that I accidentally spelled this wrong. So criteria has to have the IA, and I only had A. So it was saying I referenced it before assignment because I spelled the variable wrong. So let's just run this again and test this one more time. So 20, yes, and no. And there you go. We're all good. We generated our password. All right, so with that said, I've just zoomed out so you can read all of the code here. I'm going to start wrapping it up. If you want to get better at programming in Python, check out Programming Expert. If you're into Web3 and blockchain, check out Blockchain Expert. And if you have other ideas for mini Python projects, leave them in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.